The following tutorial is brought to you by wholeloops.com.
It's production time. I'm Reid Stefan, realist puppet in the game. Today, we're going to be making a trap beat together, top to bottom, from scratch. Now, I'd like to start this trap beat with a chord progression, but if you're anything like me, you can only play the piano with about one finger at a time. So there's a really handy tool by the same genius who brought you Serum called CTHULHU, and this will turn your one-note piano playing into a chord. Now, I've put together some really great presets of major and minor chords available at wholeloops.com. And let's just start with, let's do B minor. So now that we have this pulled up, it's time to pick what sound we want CTHULHU to play. Because I have the little sawtooth wave turned off here in the corner. So we're just going to pull up Omnisphere and bring this down on the channel here. And now we're going to tell Omnisphere to get its MIDI from CTHULHU instead of from the piano. Now we could just go in and pick a sound. I'm going to be picking ARPs. Let's see. Kind of want something glass sounding. Let's try this one. Let's hit some keys on our piano and see what it plays for us. Hey. Now I really like what we just played, so we're going to use Ableton's MIDI capture and tell it to just record what we just did. And I also want the tempo to play back a little bit faster, so let's do 160. And I'm just going to highlight this and hit Command J to turn it into its own loop. So now that CTHULHU has turned our middle C, middle D, and middle E into this neat chord progression, and Omnisphere is turning our chord progression into this neat ARP, we can turn off the red button here and record our chords in. And now you can see the signal that the CTHULHU whole loops preset is turning this MIDI into. And so we only need 2 loops of that, and this is our new loop. So now that we have this, we can actually just trash CTHULHU and make a loop out of our new piece. And let's move on to our 808. So since we pulled up the B minor preset, it's going to be pretty easy to get a 808 going in the key of B. Here inside of Urban Beats 2, we got disrespectful 808s, and we got one that's already in B for you. Happens to be the second one down, so I'm just going to double click it. And now middle C on my typing keyboard is having the 808 play a B because I loaded up a B note into the sample. And I'm just going to turn off snap and change voices to 1. And I like to pull the sustain down a little bit so that you kind of get a little bit more attack. And then you can turn the volume up. We're getting a little loud here. So now that we've got our 808 playing, let's put in a snare just as a placeholder. I know for sure we're going to be doing a snare. So now let's go and record in some 808 parts. I'm going to set up a keyboard shortcut. I like to hit Command K, click on the button that I'm setting up the shortcut for. I assign the letter R to it. I'm also going to turn on my 1-bar count in. Let's record some 808s. So I recorded myself a nice 808 pattern. I may go in and add some notes, take some notes out, but for here we're just going to quantize it to the 16th note, and we can make this a loop. And let's call this our 808. And now let's go pull in a snare drum. Kind of like this one. Man, we're having some good luck in the Urban Beats 3 folder today. So now I'm just going to turn that filter off, and let's see what else I want to do to the snare. Make it one voice again. Turn the volume up a little bit. I can't stand how when you use your typing keyboard it plays back at this tiny ass velocity, but we got volume to work around it. So let's go ahead and lay some snares into our beat. Cool. Now, I always like to just put all my ideas in the first one. It may be too many. That's usually what tends to happen, but I like to just kind of get what feels right down and then work from that. So let's do a little bit of cleanup on this pattern. I like that. Damn, my CPU is overheating already from this beat. That's a good sign. So we're going to rename this to snare, and let's go in and load up some hi-hats.
Are you one of the millions of music producers who struggle with chord progressions? Do you find it difficult to make sense of all those confusing keys on your piano? Here at CTHULHU, we've got the solution for you. Introducing Poppin' Cthulhu Chords, the complete collection of major and minor chord presets for Cthulhu that will have you feeling like Beethoven in 10 seconds or less, guaranteed. Poppin' Cthulhu Chords is available now only at CTHULHU.com.
Looking for a nice small one. Number 19. Let's pull it up as a sampler. And actually, we're going to use the filter on this one. We're going to use the filter to low cut it most of the way. And that makes it a little quiet, so now we can bring up our volume. And we're going to put that magic sustain knob right there, just tightens those things up. That thing's just the sauce. And of course, randomize the panning. Got to do that to keep them interesting. Let's record in some hi-hats. Since I'm just doing an eighth note pattern, I just record in 2 bars of eighths. That gives me some space to add an extra one if I so choose to, but let's give this a listen. We already got a pretty complicated kick and snare pattern, so I might want to keep the hi-hats basic just as it is. And I'm also going to slip these to the right a little bit so that they're a little bit late. Let's turn the snare up. Now I'm liking this so far. Let's just keep everything clean. We're going to call this hi-hats closed. And let's create a kick in here now. I think we can add some thump to that 808. Ooh, this one's nice and meaty. Let's drop this one in here. Bring the kick MIDI down from this. And we're just going to take out like a lot of the little ones. It's kind of just on the first ones. Let's turn this kick up a little bit too. And to help it sit nicer with the 808, we're also going to low cut this, maybe towards the bottom of it. Maybe give it a little thump. Now, the last thing I think that this beat is needing is a little bit of percussion. That's a nice one. Let's try something a little bit more unusual, though. I like this one. This one's pretty chill. Just turn it up a little bit. Let's also do a little bit of randomizing on the pan. Kind of like the sustain, give it a little bit more release. Let's give it a play and see if we can record some percussion in. Hey. Hey. I actually like that right there. Making beats is really as easy as this, just some 8-bar loop, move on to the next sound, arrange it later. Hey, call this perk. Next thing that I'm going to want to do is arrange this beat out. So let's use this synth as an intro. And let this rock out a little bit more. Actually, maybe at this part, I'd like a bass pad to come in. So I'm just going to duplicate Omnisphere, go in here, hit fold so that it crunches your chords down, and we're actually going to highlight everything except for the bass notes. We just extracted the root note of these chords that the whole loops preset in CTHULHU created, and now we can just go into Omnisphere and tell this to play. Play us a nice bass sound, will ya? I like to just hit freaking randomize and just play Russian roulette with the old Omnisphere presets. I kind of like that. I'm gonna hit legato. Let's add a little bit of glide to these notes. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Maybe a little mute. Now I'm going to duplicate Command-Shift-D back into the first verse. And I think I'm going to keep the drums going. We're just kind of mixing on the fly. And after that, I think let's give them a break from the drums. Let this ride out on them for a while. And then we're going to bring this back in. And then we're just going to hit Command-Shift-D one more time. And now we've created about 2.5 minutes of instrumental for a rapper to write to. And when I'm making beats, I almost like making things clip. For some reason, it just sounds better. It sounds more like trap music to me when it's clipping. So I could just like turn everything else down so that the snares don't have to clip, but I'd rather just clip the snares. So there you have it, my friends. That is how to produce a trap beat in 13 minutes. Now all you got to do is mix and master. If you'd like to see a bit about mixing, mastering, and putting the finishing touches on a trap beat, I'll put some links in the description to some other production videos and mixing videos that I've done. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time with another video. Peace out.